take responsibility for your life. Achieve fulfillment with recovery. Check out responsiblerecovery.net.
And so what happened between then and when you first came here to the Gault house?
So I got back home. Home. I mean, in my general area, my parents had moved from any of the houses that I grew up in. But at this point, my sister's been passed away, and so it's just us. And and it was awesome in the sense that my parents wanted to see me. It'd been a long time. They'd given me the grief, and they'd given me the cold shoulder and everything for a while, rightfully so. And they were ready to kind of like, mold me again and try to see if they could, make me better. And it was great. So I came home and I had all the food I wanted. I had the huge bed, my own room, another room because my parents were working all day. Another room, with big screen TV and couches that I essentially was mine. My parents, nobody would go in there. My parents are in the living room, even if they're home. So all I did was come home and go to the gym every day. And that's it. I'm like, eat whatever I want, borrow my parents' car, go work out, watch all the TV I could possibly, watch, and that continue. But that's obviously for a drug addict. It's not a way to. It's not going to sustain you and not going to keep you sober. Plus, if you're not ready, which I wasn't. So it didn't take long till I found a Connect. And I think even at that point, I had got a psychiatrist and started manipulating a psychiatrist to, not manipulating him. I mean, anything I told him were like half truths or quarter truths. I do have anxiety. I do have sleep problems, yada, yada, yada. But, I just wouldn't say no when he would recommend things that I knew I didn't need. So at that point, I was getting things prescribed to me. Insane amounts of things prescribed to me that were just not good, for somebody with my lack of discipline when it comes to narcotics. So I wasn't doing any heroin or anything at the time, but I was still taking those. And, so that didn't, but then obviously that's going to eventually lead into heroin. Met a girl, reacquainted with a girl I had known and I guess fell in love, for lack of a better expression, and it caused enough bullshit at that point. I think I want to say it was maybe 2 years, year and a half, 2 years maybe a year and a half that I'd been home. Caused enough bullshit. Dad gave me the deadline. You're out by this date, and so I had to get out. I had this girlfriend who thought she didn't see me enough, and that's a whole nother story. But so yeah, I'm like, well, we should get an apartment, and we got an apartment, and that was awesome and cool. I had a bitchin' car. My parents helped me get a car, and it was a super sweet ride, and had the apartment, but was just using heroin. So I mean, it's literally, and the whole time, especially, specifically for me, I know when I'm using. Like, I'm not in any sort of denial. Like, I know whatever I have right now, if anything's good, I'm going to eventually lose it. Like, there's going to be, that's coming. I don't know when, but I know it's coming. Like, I'm never using heroin or using drugs thinking like, oh, I'm going to continue this forever. This is going to be great. Like, I know the impending doom that awaits. And so I knew that was going to happen, that was going to crumble at some point. And of course it did, after I crashed a couple cars, crashed my car, and the girl I was with had enough and, gave me the boot and I still had a guy, really great dude, a teacher of mine, former teacher of mine from high school, super dope dude. This is a guy he had a PC cafe back in the day. We'd go and have LAN parties and stay up all night and drink soda and play Counter-Strike, and we used to joke in his class and, make fart jokes in his class. And this was just a dope dude. And for some reason, a guy like me who hates when people post things on social media, like personal things, like something about this, anything personal. Like, it should just be statements of like general happiness, which I hate too. But should never just be anything personal. I think that's so lame. But when I'm high, I do things that the normal Marty doesn't do. And so I had to cry for help, when that happened. When I was getting kicked out, my girl gave me the boot. And that was real. I had to leave. So I put on social media, cry for help, Any of my buddies know a place where I can go, where I can stay, blah, 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 And the only one who hit me back was this teacher I had in high school. And he had a spot in a city, a town city, not too far. It's like, equivalent of like Aptos to Santa Cruz, or essentially like that. So he had a house in what was technically like an Aptos, where I was in Santa Cruz, and I went there. Big ass room, big ass heroin addiction, and that was just absolutely depressing. I had a warehouse job, not to put down, but the warehouse job I had was brutal. It wasn't cool, you know what I mean? Specifically, I think because I was just like a temp worker. So when I say that, I don't say like I was a temp worker, so that just felt like crap. I'm not even a real employee. They'd like, spit on me, look down on me type deal. I'd get high in the bathroom, go in the stalls, smoke heroin, come back out, work. If I didn't have heroin or drugs before I went in, work would be so shitty because it was a physical job. And that, throwing up in my room randomly, like waking up and there was throw up, I don't even know how the heck that got there. Just disgusting, living in trash filth, and like I said, I've never been in denial. Every time I've ever done it, I know I've got a problem and I can't be doing this, but that drug just, it overpowers any sort of rationale or reason or anything that you have. So, once again, I had enough, and this was around, I would say November 2016. And I was still Facebook friends with the guy who ran that SLE back in 2011 in Santa Cruz. And I hit him up. Hey dude, you still got an SLE? And he's, yeah, we don't have, it's not up in Felton anymore. It's down in town, right in the heart of it. And, I'm like, sweet dude, I'm there. I'm going to get there. I don't know when or how. I'm probably just going to run out however much money I have. And when I don't have any more, I'm going to do my little best detox I can do by myself. And then I'm going to come up there. That would have been November-ish, 2016. So I did that, ran out of my money and, scooted on up with a bag, took a bag full of whatever I had and took a Greyhound up to, San Jose. And that guy picked me up. And, I went back to the SLE, and that was 2017.
And then what happened once you got there that brought you to the Gault house?
Oh, I guess, well, the drug addiction and the behaviors, I guess you can put them at bay, and you can find ways to, overpower them, or at least prevent them from coming out. But I still have those. But so that first time in that SLE, which was really, really like, it's like that, but I can't remember the expression, but it's a lot. It was like the most amount of weight off your back once I got there. Like, like the chaos has stopped. Like, it's just quiet. Everybody's laughing and joking, and it's like it had been a long time of the BS and the craziness and the chaos and but one of my roommates had a bottle of something, it wasn't narcotic, but something that I was like, I know this will change my head a little bit, and so I started taking it, and little by little, and I guess somebody like snitched and said like, oh, Marty was passed out on the couch, which I think was a lie or an exaggeration, because I wasn't taking anything narcotic, so I wouldn't have been that passed out. But anyways, neither here nor there, because I was taking the guy's pills, so I'm not denying that. But then they tested me like the hardcore way, the lab with everything that's in my piss. I came back, gotta leave, and at that moment. Now, I definitely don't have, there's no way I can, my parents are going to help me or anything like that. Like, it's just not, I'm not even going to ask them for help, I had been going to church out here, and I called my church and whatever I could do, yada yada yada. We don't have anything, but here, call this lady. She has a bunch of properties. So I called this lady, and she couldn't put me in any of her properties. But she's like, you can come stay at my house for a little bit. So I went up there, stayed at her mansion up, overlooking Santa Cruz, and glass walls, and just like epic, and once again, essentially free food, free roofing, I'm not paying anything there. And, and so I had, because of a couple things, I had found a connection. And so there I just was, for those month and a half, 2 months, was just using heroin every day, up there. And I think it started with me seeing one of her guys that lived with her, because she did have, she'd let people come and rent rooms. One of the guys who had a room there as like a fallback room for when he would cheat on his wife or something, he had like a bottle of Vicodin, and I spotted that like immediately. Like one day she was like, help, can you help me move this or whatever? Help me move this dresser. And I'm immediately going in the room. I'm already thinking my eyes are going to be focused to see if I see anything, because that's where people would keep it, on top of the dresser, or, whatever, maybe on top of the dresser. But so I went in there, and bam, this guy just randomly happened to have like 20 bottles of things, and I'm like, dude, I guarantee, if he's not a drug addict, I know he's not a drug addict, but I guarantee one of those bottles is probably like, some Vicodin or something, because that's what people do that don't use them. They'll have them, and they'll be like 5 years old, because they'll take like one every, blue moon. And I remember taking those and going to church, and had that initial, not exactly like the beginning, but like it had been a while since I'd taken anything. So I was just like felt really, really good. Boom. Back on the heroin, smoking it, not shooting it. The shooting it, not to go back super far, but those couple months that I shot it, to me, it was completely overrated. I didn't have like the Technicolor dreams that, you see in the movies. Like, you're like, oh my God. Like, it just was kind of like a different type of the same feeling. Couple that with how the ridiculousness of finding veins and shooting, and then I missed, and my arm got huge. Had to go to the emergency room and get scolded by the doctor and tell me I'm a piece of shit and making snarking comments, and that was enough for me to be like, yeah, dude, I'm cool on that, So, but anyway, so I was up at this lady's house smoking heroin, and I burned that bridge. I burned that candle as long as I could, and had to get out. And it just so happens, I had some legal things going on at the time too that I didn't realize required me to be in that SLE, because that was kind of part of I guess I don't want to call it essentially half of why I went up to the Santa Cruz SLE, because I had one of the cars that I crashed in 2016 was for a DUI, and the punishment that I volunteered for, he agreed to, which was that SLE. So, but I didn't realize he was hardcore. He was fervent on the fact that I had to be in there for a certain amount of time. So, but I didn't know that, and so kind of, I guess God, or my higher power kind of directed me, because it just so happens that in Santa Cruz, the easiest places, if you're looking just to rent a room, whatever, shared, whatever, the easiest places to get into are SLEs. The regular places, they want recommendations and all that crap, and so I'm like, all right, yeah, I have no problem with that. I need to get sober anyways. So went to Gault House was the one that I got to, and I don't know if I can name names or want to name names, but yeah, the lady who runs the Gault House, super like giddy, and and so I was like, all right, yeah, cool, I'll go here, right next to 24 Hour Fitness. I love to work out. I work out a lot, in case you guys didn't know, but so went to Gault House, still using when I got here for like the first 5 days, knowing that I was gonna, because you get the initial time to be clean. And this was really like, I don't know what to call it. It was a different approach and experience with the SLEs. And that first one was kind of its own weird kind of animal. Everybody was like 18 years old, and it was super strict, super hardcore. So yeah, I kind of look at that as like an outlier of my experiences. So this is like the real SLE, where you have freedom and you know you're gonna get tempted and things. But anyways, I came here and just continued to use for those first 5 or so days that you know you have to get out of your system. And the lady said, you know, you can stay here, but you can't detox here. So you can go away, detox, and then you can come back. And so that's what I did. I went to that old lady's house. I gave her like $100. You know, can I stay here? Because she wasn't a fan of me at that point. You know, I caused some problems. But detoxed, came back, and then this would have been, you know, around June or May, March, April, May, around May of last year, 2017. And so I was back at Gault House, and that's what got me to Gault. That's where I was going to stay for a while.
Take responsibility for your life. Achieve fulfillment with recovery. Check out responsiblerecovery.net.